Yes. Good.
You good? Yeah.
Alright. Ever since I was young, I've always had a passion for fishing, but I never truly understood what was going on underneath the water. Until this summer, I decided to take a deeper look into what was actually happening. When I was younger, my grandfather taught me how to fish, and I wanted to share my passion of fishing with some of my friends. I reached out to my friends, and they all agreed. Here are a couple of pictures of my friend I took fishing. At first, I started by teaching the basics such as casting and tying knots in my front yard. And then we went to the pond and we fished. Although we didn't catch anything, we both agreed it was a great time and that he wanted to pursue fishing. I did this with a couple more of my friends, and we agreed it was a great time. On the right, you can see that's where we started casting in my yard. And on the left, that's where we started casting in the pond. I learned a couple things about myself through this too. I learned that I enjoy teaching things that I know a lot about. I like sharing the knowledge I had, and I found it very easy for me. Coming into this project, I did not expect to like this part. Onto the individual side of the project, I wanted to fish 5 different local ponds and compare the differences and see who found a good fishing spot. I fished each pond for roughly about 2 weeks, and the ponds I fished were Terry Pond, Hot Hole Pond, Turkey Pond, Long Pond, and Kimball Pond. The first variable I wanted to look at was depth. I wanted to look at depth because I found it very easy to obtain, and I also found that it had a big effect on fish, as it did. As you can see in the charts, all the depths are very similar, averaging about 6 feet for the whole pond, and the deepest part about 14. I found that shallow water was much harder for me to fish, and also had more predators such as snakes and turtles. The shallow water also had much more plantation. Moving on to the deeper water, I found it was much more shelter for the fish, and also there's much more prey for them. I left one pond out specifically out of the rest because it was the deepest pond and it was my most successful pond. Hot Hole Pond is much deeper than the rest on the whole area, and the deepest part even reaching 40 feet. On the right, there's a diagram that shows shallow water gets much more murky and also changes water temperature very easy due to weather. As the deeper water is much more clean, it doesn't change, allowing fish to get more comfortable. The next factor I did not expect in this project was milfoil. Milfoil is an invasive plant species that was brought over from Europe on tugboats. It is very invasive and is taking over ponds locally. The ponds that I fished that had milfoil were Cherry Pond, Turkey Pond, Kimball Pond, and that was it. The other 2 ponds that did not have it were Hot Hole Pond and Long Pond. I found it very hard to fish through as my lure would always constantly get stuck, and also I researched and found out that fish is very hard for them to live in as they constantly get stuck in their gills. The picture on the right is a sign I saw at Long Pond informing me about the hazards of it, including my boat. It has gotten so bad that ponds are starting to hire people to sit at the edge of their boat ramps and check boats before they go in and go out of the water. While I was fishing one of the ponds, I saw there was a diving sign that was actually helping to cure the milfoil. They spray chemicals on it to help eliminate it. Although they try to eliminate it, they cannot get rid of it, as it is already infested. I also wanted to look at a couple things that I did not think affected the fishing. One of the things I found was the size of the pond did not matter. I found success in the biggest pond, which was Turkey Pond, and also the smallest pond was my most successful pond, that's Hot Hole. I also found that water temperature did not matter as much. Since all the ponds are so local, I found that all the temperatures were about the same as they experienced the same weather and same conditions. Also, as the diagram before showed, I found that the top of the water changed frequently. For my final results, I wanted to have a clear sheet that showed what worked and what didn't. Clearly on the sheet, Hot Hole Pond was the most successful, by far. I believe this was the most successful because I had no milfoil and also was the deepest all the way around. The species of fish I was fishing for were bass, pickerel, sunfish, and crappie. Although I did not catch as many fish in all the other ponds, I still found success, as I caught fish in every single one of them. Not as many, not as big, but I still found a good spot. For my final slide, I wanted to include a couple of pictures that show my joy and passion for this project. I really enjoyed doing this project, and I learned a lot. Moving forward, I'm going to include everything I learned through this project every time I go out fishing. This project really got me thinking. With that being said, thank you. Is there any questions? I do, yes. Unfortunately, since I did this during the summer, I could not include any of the ice fishing, but yeah, I do enjoy ice fishing as well.
And do you dress and eat any of them?
For the local ponds, no, but sometimes I go up north to my grandparents and we fish for salmon, and sometimes we do keep, but not, no. Adler?
What do you do with the fish after you catch them?
I catch and release.
You always release them?
No, as I was just saying, sometimes I go up north and eat salmon.
Yeah, sorry.
Bridget?
What's your favorite fish to catch?
I'd say bass. Anyone else? You're here?
Have you ever gone pike fishing?
I tried, when I was in New York a couple years ago, I was fishing at a thoroughfare. I caught a couple, but I've never, like specifically around here, gone for pike.
Okay, well done, Sean.